do those. And then, then it hit you, and I was like, oh boy, this isn't good.
Well, I'm the one who programmed it, and I'm sitting there thinking like, all right, get myself a win this week. Barbells,
it's not fine, Mom.
Throw in some cheap little strict handstand push-ups, and
our address
ended up killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ruined me.
I came in last.
I was split jerking.
Mom,
I got to the point where it just came on me so fast that it was just split jerking, So.
All right, hey guys, it looks like we got Dave on. So, hey Justin, can you record this week so we don't?
I am recording. Listen, I'm new to this Zoom, man. I mean, you guys got to be new to it too. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's just one button, Justin. It's all you got to press.
Right on. Well, hey, listen, one of the cool things about this Zoom is it started this conversation that we're having today. And we have Jenn today, and we have Dave today. Dave, thanks for joining us. All right, Jenn, thanks for joining us. First off, how you guys doing? Like, what's your situation, and what's the scene over by you guys? Jenn, go ahead.
Yeah, good, I would say. I mean, it's I haven't worked out at home in 8 years. So it's definitely been very different for me to actually work out at home. The first time I did it, it was like a mental challenge, I would say. I think I warmed up for 90 minutes. And then I proceeded to go to the grocery store and swung by the gym and picked up a few things that I thought I might need just in case, and came back to my house and then just sucked it up and worked out for like 2 hours, super slow, and just sort of got through it. But it was just a mental challenge to work out at home, because it's part of why I've loved CrossFit for 8 years is I don't like working out at home, but it has not been as bad as I thought, since doing it. And then even I've gotten some funny comments, like I think I was doing a heavy front squat or something like that, and I kind of grunted and then dropped the weights, and my neighbor came over and was like, I just need to know, first of all, are you okay? And second of all, are those gonna be normal sounds, or should I worry? And I was like, no, it's normal. I'm good, I promise. And he's like, well, just remember, I can't even lift one of those plates. If you should need me someday, I can't help you at all. I was like, we're good, I promise, we're good. So it's been interesting, but I would say, a different challenge that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I'm trying to look at it that way.
Dave, what about you?
I only work out at home, so this has not been hard for me at all to adjust to. And I've always just liked doing my own thing in the garage, unlike Jenn. So, and I go to the ranch every day. So I live up in Northern California again. I moved up here it'll be 2 years in August, and I live about 15 minutes away from the ranch. And so I bounce back and forth throughout the day from home and to the ranch. And that's what I did before all this stuff started. And so my routine hasn't changed much, which has been nice. But having the kids home all the time and your wife not being able to go anywhere, in her mind, I tell her she can go places, but she doesn't want to. That's been a big challenge, especially for her with the kids 24/7 and homeschooling now and doing all that. More of an adjustment on that end.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're all masters here, I have Clinton Paddock and Mike Kern and Jenn. Is it Dieter?
Dieter, yeah.
Dieter, Steve Swistak, and Megan over there. She's looking real cute today. But Jen Simmons and Bob Jennings. We have, I'm kind of curious, why do the Masters in 2014? Like, what led you guys to finally make the decision and say, like, hey, this is a group I want to see compete?
Why did we make the decision? That's a good question. I don't remember the exact discussions that happened to make it come to existence, but it was something that there's a large amount of people who participate at the time, and even now that we're 40 plus, right? And there's a large cohort that was never of those guys that are really good, and they were never going to, and gals, going to be able to make it in the individual field. Up until 2014, let's say 2011, 10, 11, 12, in the early days of the competition, especially on the female side, but even on the men's side, you would see guys in their late 30s, early 40s making it to the games. And that's only because the depth of field was pretty shallow. As more and more people started participating in the sport and more people started training at a younger age, the likelihood and the possibility of Bill Grundler, for example, ever qualifying for the games again, like he thought he would, became less and less. You know, I'm 43. We all know that as you get in these later stages of life, that we're not able to recover as fast and we're not able to move as quickly as the younger athletes. So it made sense to have an outlet for this group,
Right.
Interestingly, a few years later, we then saw the same thing was happening with the 35 to 39-year-olds. There was a point where even in that range, it was very unlikely that someone in that group was going to qualify for the games. And in that group, we had a lot of stars that were kind of rotating out, like Spieler, like
Matt Chan.
Maddox, and a lot of those guys. So it made sense to have that little division to kind of to bridge the gap, because otherwise some guys, you know, when they hit 34, 35, they won't be able to compete again until they're 40 with the old model. But then by adding the 35 to 39, we kind of gave a little bridge to let guys compete. Interestingly, there's one female, it's Bridges, who's still, there might be a couple, but Bridges for sure, not Bridges, what's her name? Briggs, Sam Briggs. She's still qualifying as an individual.
And maybe Becca Voigt too. She's on the, you know.
I don't think she made it last year.
I don't know.
No,
2 years ago.
Yeah. But see, and also that's just, you know, that'll change very soon. It's just, again, the depth of field, the amount of people playing. With the guys, you won't see that happen ever again. There's not going to be any guys that are 39, 40 that are going to qualify on the individual men's side, because those youngsters are coming up and they're all so strong and they're all so fast.
Right. What's the
you look at a guy who just 2 years ago qualified in Nick Ranker, right? And he's still awesome at 35 to 39, but to your point, his chances of qualifying with the young guys is kind of passing him by, even with how amazing he is. Right?
Exactly. And that's a perfect example. Like, your Ranker is a beast by any stretch of the imagination. He's really good. And, but he's there. It's a different level now.
Yeah.
And it's not even anything of like, it's not, let me rephrase that. It's not even a different level. It's just a different phase in his life to where he's not able to compete like those other guys did. You know, when it was interesting, because I started thinking about it a lot when I watched football or basketball, and you'd hear the commentators say something about whichever player, so-and-so's lost a step, you know, as he's aging. And then you Google and see how old they are, and they're like 32, 33. And it's like, in pro sports, that margin's there. In pro sports, when you hit 29, 30, you're on your way out, unless you're a quarterback like Brady, then you can go forever. But in some of those skilled positions, you're already slowing up. And you're already on a different path than the young guys. And we're seeing that in our sport too. I mean, geez, you look at, speaking
Steve,
of like,
as far as programming, you know, I mean, what's the history of that in the sense, like, you're in charge of everything, right? I mean, or do you designate that for someone to do, or, you know, like how does that work? Because we've seen different kind of years where the programming is a little bit, you know, just different, you know, whether it's people like it or they don't like it.
So the programming for the Masters goes like this. I delegate it to someone, and then they send it to me because I'm deep into the individuals and the teams through the process. And then I spend a couple days looking at it, and I usually butcher the fuck out of it. And I say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. I send it back to the person who I delegated it to, and it usually looks nothing like what they sent me. I try to preserve some things. Oftentimes I don't, and sometimes I do. It's been different individuals over the years. Sherwood did it a couple years. Eric O'Connor most recently has been really involved, and it makes sense because you guys see Eric as a judge. And
Right,
so
yeah.
we decided to get him more involved and some of the other head judges in the programming. So Eric programs, then I'll take it and do my thing with it. And then we go back and forth. It's way more collaborative, the Masters programming, especially when we start talking about the scales. I don't get involved in any of the advanced scales for the later age groups. I let the team come up with that and do that. It's way more collaborative than the individuals or the teams. The individuals or the teams I pretty much do myself. There's a couple people I'll bounce ideas off of, but the teams, there's because of the way it goes down. This year's age group online qualifier, same sort of thing happened. One of the members of our team created it, sent it to me, and then we all went back and forth. I chopped it up a lot, and then Justin Berg had some good. He's actually the one who recommended more workouts because he said some of the feedback we get oftentimes is that you guys don't think we did enough over that online qualifier. So that's how we ended up with more, which I think was a good call because you guys could all handle it. And then the 1 rep max, there was some debate. A handful of the people on the team wanted it to be like we've done in other workouts where I finish X workout and then with the remaining time do that. But I kind of just didn't want to do that. This time I just wanted to make it its own isolated individual effort, which I was happy with. But so yeah, it's other people script them and draft them, and then I give, and it's different each year. Some years, depending on when I get it, I've been more just kind of like few changes. Other years, there's been a lot of changes.
What did you like
You
about
find-
workout 4? That was, I mean, you posted that like it was the greatest workout of all time.
Which
and it
one?
was awful. It was like I was doing singles.
Which one?
Toast to bar and bar muscle.
Toe to bar muscle up one.
That was that to sucker us into doing like try to go unbroken?
Yes, yes, for sure.
Come on.
Yes.
Everybody was practicing that like idiots. Everybody's practicing. Can I hang on and go into it?
I know.
I was like, he did that shit on purpose.
I was just trolling everybody. I was just trolling you guys to try to bait you in.
It
So
worked.
here's what's funny about when I did it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the whole thing. And I didn't think I was going to do it unbroken, but I knew I was going to try as much as I could in that beginning unbroken. After I came off, so I cut the footage I put on my Instagram. I cut right before I came off the bar. I think I did the 9 unbroken, then I went into like 6 or 7 toe to bar, and then I came off the bar and I cut it right before I came off. I have this ab issue that I've had for a number of years. So I got back up and tried finishing the toe to bars and my abs locked up. So I didn't even finish the fucking workout. That, like what I showed in that video was like all I did. And then I was like, all right, well, my abs locked up. Maybe I can just do some bar muscle ups. I can't finish the toe to bar. I tried that, but your core is so critical in doing a bar muscle up. So I didn't do any more than what I posted in the video.
Right.
I'll
Also,
post
Well
it with your
played.
favorite one.
Well played.
That was one of the worst workouts ever. I hated
The
that
hardest?
workout.
The handstand?
No, that bar muscle up, toes to bar. That was fucking hard.
brutal.
That
It's
was
just meant to be, obviously, like just to dig and go fast and hard, you know?
Dave,
Yeah,
I
talk
loved
about
it.
the feedback
I
you
love that
get.
one.
I'm sorry, Jen.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love that one, but put me on a bar that I can swing on like that, do bar muscle ups, that makes me happy. So I was happy for that one for sure.
You see that girl who did it unbroken? That's pretty cool.
I saw that.
That was
Yeah,
amazing.
it did not make me want to try it.
Jen, what did you do on the clean and jerk?
I didn't do any of the other workouts.
okay.
What
Oh,
was
did you
it?
say Dave or did you say Jen?
Jen,
Oh, I'm sorry.
What
what
was
did
it
you clean
again?
and jerk?
It was 1 rep max, right?
yeah.
205. I hit 205. I did it the first day of the qualifier, and it was like, okay, maybe I can. My max ever is like 213, I think. And so I was like, well, maybe we'll do 205 today. I'll clean and jerk a little bit every day and do more and more. And I never went back to it. I think I tried to clean and jerk at the very end after I was done with everything else again. And I hit like 202, went for 206, and that was it. So I was happy to hit 205. I think it was second or third
That's
or something
it?
like that in the
Just second
age
or
group,
third?
so it was fine.
She knows exactly what it was, man. Don't let her fool you. She knows exactly.
It was like second, maybe third. I don't really know.
I remember my place better than I remember my weight.
By like a pound, and she knows it. So
Dave,
you
talk about the feedback that you get from the Masters. because, you know, from our perspective, you know, I think a lot of times they feel left out in a sense, you know, like,
From
and there's,
like the games or from just the whole thing?
well, I mean, just talk about the feedback that you get, you know, I mean, look, we're in the qualifying stage right now. Okay. So like all the videos are done, you know, I mean, most of us have gotten our acceptance or whatever, you know, as far as that's concerned, you know, like what does that process look like in a sense? Like, you know, is it just like the individuals as far as how many videos that they watch, you know, and then from there, like as far as like feedback that you hear, because we hear feedback from other athletes on, oh, we wish, you know, when there were regionals, we wish there was a Masters regional, you know, and now that there's sanctional, there's people that want sanctionals. There's people that, you know, I think it's great for the sport because we're all into it, you know, but you talked about before, you,
Sorry to interrupt, but with like the regionals, back then when we looked a lot into that argument and that, like, should we have age group regionals, Masters regionals? The reality is the numbers just didn't, like,
yeah, logistics.
the numbers at all did not support it. And like, so here's the thing. You might have been able to say, okay, for the 35 to 39 or even the 40 to 44, there's enough people to justify having a regional. But then what about the other age group? I mean, some of the later age groups barely had, you know, a few thousand people total signed up. I might be off, but it was that then at least, because we looked into the numbers. But in the older, if we'd had regionals for the advanced age groups, it would have been like 50% of the people who even entered would have technically qualified for a regional. So it's just way too soon then when we were talking that having regionals. One of the major feedback or things I hear a lot is just that we should do more for the Masters and we should, you know, give more attention to it, give more media to it, give them a better setup at the games, a lot of that sort of, we should do more for them. And here's the thing, it's tough because it's not the premier, right? It's not the big leagues. The big one is the individuals. It's the men and the women. And that's what dictates, you know, how big we push the games, how big the games get, how much we spend at the games, because that's where most of the eyeballs and the interest is coming for, right? For the individual men and the individual women.
Yeah, first of all, I think you providing Masters athletes a platform to even get to that level is pretty impressive. I mean, if you look across all other sports, you know, where do you get to a games atmosphere, get a bunch of free, you know, apparel, really get a chance to mingle with the best individual CrossFit athletes in the world? You know, to me, that's the thank you to you, right? I mean, I'm 44 and I have an opportunity to compete at a high level again.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that, you know, that draws me to this and why I'm so excited about trying to make it every year. What was your thought about cutting from 20 down to 10? What was your mindset there?
That wasn't my call. I don't know. I would have been happy staying with 20, but I also don't, I didn't mind going down to the 10. Less people is a thought. You know, it's just the games is a behemoth and all the stuff going on. It's so, there's so many things, so much support. It was kind of just to focus that event a little more. This is all being recorded, right? You're gonna post this?
We'd like to.
Okay. I gotta make sure so I know how to answer.
Are we allowed to post it?
Be honest.
If you want, yes, that's fine. But I just need to know. I need to know that so I don't say anything I shouldn't say. But yeah, the logistically, I mean, when we're doing 20 people, that's a ton of athletes, with all the age groups that had to show up. And, you know, a lot of the programming for you guys at the games was dictated by that. I mean, we have to make heats that are, you know, 20-person heats that are 6 minutes long just to get, and, you know, you have 10, 15, 20 of them just to get everyone through events. So it's a big, doing 10, dropping it down to 10, where it's difficult now. It's really difficult for people to get in. It's actually better for you guys who do get in because we can get a little more creative with the programming and have a little more freedom, have a little more time to do things and make it more challenging for you. I don't remember at all the programming last year for you guys. I can't think of one event, but did it feel different than the programming when there was 20 people or not?
I think the whole thing is, I think it's progressed well and felt different. I mean, the first year in Madison was a shit show for us, I think. I mean, really, it was, you know, I remember, you know, at one point it was like, okay, warm up. No, just kidding. We have 45 minutes. There was like pencil and paper, you know, like we would literally go check in and it was pencil and paper and people would be like looking at their line across and then they go up and they tell you the wrong time. But by day 3, there was a whiteboard, you know, like it's just evolved, like little things that I think that were just, you know, like you said, 20 people and trying to keep track of everything. And I mean, just I feel like, you know, California was a well-oiled machine by the time I got there. But Madison, it took a little bit of growing pains. And I think the combination of kind of learning the venue and probably the change in the amount of people, I felt like last year was pretty smooth.
And the thing with Madison too is we had like a whole new set of people to work with for the first year, especially. Like it wasn't like when we did them in Carson, you pretty much get used to the same people and know what you're working with.
Yeah, Dave, we talked about this on the last couple of episodes that we've done here, where we talked about the programming. So here's the compliment, right? The 2020 AGOQ programming we all thought was fantastic, right? We loved having the extra event. We loved that you threw some heavy barbell at us, because we felt like last year that was kind of lacking, right? And so my first time at the games was last year, is 2019. These guys have all been there multiple times before me. And I think the consensus was that 2018 programming for the games was a lot better than 2019, right? You guys agree with that?
Yeah, 17 and 18 were
17,
really
18.
good at the games.
Swimming, you know, running, a lot of different.
I think also at the 1 second, let me get some water. I'm thirsty. I'm trying to think what happened last year.
I know that last year, I mean, I didn't compete last year. I took the year off, but I know there was less events, right, Justin?
Yeah, the final event was the individual bi-couplet. Is that what it was? I don't forget what it was called, where we did 3 scored workouts in one event. It was overhead squat into that bi-couplet, heavy snatches and bar muscle ups, and then light snatches and chest to bar. I think, right, Clint? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you know, to me, whatever the events are, you know, like the age qualifier, you can only test certain things. You can't test swimming and running, but you're going to see that at the games, you know, like
you guys didn't swim last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, we didn't swim
Right.
last year, which could have really helped me, Dave, because the guy who beat me
Same.
couldn't swim. All right, but I'm not saying anything. Whatever.
I'm not saying anything, but
So we had some unique challenges last year, and some things had to be like, you know, we weren't going to be able to take everybody to the water, for example. You know, so last year was a transition year. So you guys felt some of that indirectly.
It's okay. The first year we were in the water, all the girls had to start with all you guys. And we all about got drowned and kicked in the face by all you big boys in the water with us. So, you know, I love to swim, but I was glad to not start at the same time with all of you.
That was probably Justin. He was probably trying to just survive.
I was. First year
It
for
is-
sure. No
You know
question.
what is funny with the age group, with the Masters men, is like when you look at the Masters men versus even the individual men, you guys are all so much fucking bigger.
Yeah.
Like taller, thicker.
Yep.
It's a trip.
Well, yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out why. Why is that? Were we all
Yeah.
fucking heads before we started or what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably. Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
I was the biggest guy in the 45 to 49 last year by a solid like 2 inches, and I'm not tall. Like I'm 5. Well, I tell people I'm just under 6 feet, but I'm really like barely 5'11".
But what are you walking at? 210?
No, shit, no. I'm like 190, 185, 190.
Okay.
Dave, you mentioned in one of your posts that I think it was the bar muscle up program, that the workout that you liked. Or no, it was the Nick Your Ranker when he clean and jerked like 350. You called out a couple of like other master athletes.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you wish that they competed as much as we wish they competed? You know, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, this is kind of the intent, you know, like, hey, here's, you can measure up versus your peers. You can measure up in your class. And I hate like Josh and Dan's attitude towards it is ridiculous. They're not, Dan is not, Josh is not, they're not good enough anymore to qualify as individuals. So you might as well go measure up against your peers in the age group and show that you're the best in the world there if you want. And it's silly because they're professional CrossFitters. Like this is their livelihood and their job. So they should be excited about the opportunity to compete and be relevant on the competition floor. So, and I tell them the same too.
Yeah, I actually love when you program at the games individual workouts are the same as the masters workouts to see even how we compare and men versus women as well. I mean, there's been a lot of times where masters athletes, whether it was obstacle course, you know, true athlete having to get through a course, or the running and swimming, where we've come out on top versus some of those individual athletes. So it's really cool to see you program a lot of those events, see yourself doing that in the future as well.
The running and swimming stuff is kind of like that's an easy place for that to happen, right? Especially swimming. Because if you have a swimming background, it doesn't matter how fit you are. If you don't, you're going to crush even the individual athletes who are possibly fitter, but not a better swimmer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Dave, do you think and I don't know what reasoning those guys give you, but do you think if the prize money was more that you would get more of those guys to do the Masters stuff, or?
Yes, at a point. I mean, if the prize money was $100,000, sure. But like at the levels it's at now, I think if you go up $5-10 and it wouldn't, I don't think they'd still compete. I think they're fucking scared. Hold on, I'm gonna go live on my Instagram. So we are gonna be live. Okay.
Hey Justin, now you can start talking some shit, right? We want this group doing that.
Yeah, Dave, do you think there's not enough shit talking in the sport?
Oh, for sure. There's not. We need a bad guy. That's
what I'm talking. Do you think that's why Hunter made it last year? You think he got the invite because he was this kind of rogue guy and he was going to maybe mix up the pot a little bit, you know, like stir it? We can't hear you.
I don't think he should have been there at all.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying, you think that was why he was there?
No, that wasn't my call. I don't think he should have been there at all. He wasn't there because, here's the thing. I want a bad guy who's relevant. How about that? Okay. Like someone who's really fucking good. And also Neil kind of early on almost went that route, Neil Maddox. But he quickly linked up with Jason and they you know, he became a pop. And Neil's a great guy. He's not a bad guy, but he would show up to competitions with his hair like dyed and shit carved into his hair, like, and his X, he'd have the X. And he kind of had that persona that was scary and people were standoffish. And there were some moments at the games where he had a little attitude with some of us, but he never committed to being the bad guy. I kind of wish he would have. It would be cool if we had a bad guy now.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. I don't want it to be WWE. I don't want it to be WWE or UFC. It's got to be like it's got to be who you are. Like, I just don't fucking care about what you think. Fuck you guys. You know, like, it's got to be genuine bad guy. I don't want a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. I want a genuine bad guy.
I would say Neil's going to be your closest thing to ever having a bad guy.
I know, which is sad. Nah, there'll be someone. Someone will step up to the plate. The
But
problem
on
is
the
though, a
girls'
lot of
side,
guys.
On this call.
on the
but-
girls' side, it'll just be backstabbing. People will talk shit behind their back and then be fake to their faces, of course, because that's how girls do it. You know, there won't be a bad girl.
Jen, what about the Masters ladies? So what I noticed that the Masters guys, like we all get along. Like everybody gets there and we're all happy just to be there. You know, we know how hard we work. What's the ladies side like at the games for the Masters?
Yeah, I would say it's actually the same. I think, you know, it's changed for me over the years, so maybe it's my perception more than anything. But I feel like my first year, I didn't feel like the people that were older in the age division that had been there a few times were as welcoming to us newbies in the group. And again, maybe it's because I've been there more and I know more faces and whatnot, but I feel like, you know, we all kind of are embracing each other, sort of. I mean, like Janet Black, she's won twice since I've been there. And her favorite thing to say is, guys, it's just CrossFit. So like, we'll be super nervous or somebody will be freaking out in, you know, the corral or whatever. And she's like, guys, it's just CrossFit. It doesn't matter. You know, like we all kind of, I would say, you know, get along to a point and cheer each other on to a point that's really healthy overall. I feel like it's evolved nicely over the years.
Yeah.
What division are you in?
45 to 49 now.
Jen? Okay.
45 to 49.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk shit to Justin and Steve, but that's because we've all competed against each other for, you know, and we're good friends. So no one, I just feel like there's not a whole lot of that. And Neil, when Neil came into the 40 to 44, obviously I had known Neil for a couple of years. He wasn't super friendly in the back, to be honest, Dave. Like it took him a day or two, and I think some of these guys will contest to that. Like it took a day or two before he actually lightened up a little bit in the back and started to have a little fun, you know. And I kept trying to, before we went there, I was like, hey Neil, you know, Masters is a little bit different. Like we have a good time, we all get along. And he was basically like, fuck that, I'm moving in, I don't give a fuck.
Well, that's what I love about Neil is his competitive fire is almost unmatched. Like he goes to win regardless, no matter what. And that's. But here's what's interesting. Also, what you're talking about with Neil, there's a lot of that even on the individual side. But that's also different from being the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like being so focused where you're just like, you don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want to collaborate. Fuck you. I'm not like here to socialize. That doesn't mean you're being a bad guy necessarily. There still can be that and someone who will also be public facing bad guy. Because, you know, so another example, there's a lot of like athletes talk shit about each other all the time, right? Behind the scenes and like, especially on the individual side, none of them are saying it publicly. And that's what I mean by like someone being a bad guy.
Okay.
But Neil, I just consider that his competitive fire and his competitive. Didn't I link you guys up? Didn't you guys become really good friends?
Me and Neil are great friends because of you. You sent him to my gym. So
he asked for a place to train, right? He's like, he asked me, that's what it was. He goes, hey, I want to go to Madison for like 2 months before the games. And do you know any gym I should train at? And I linked him up with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny because he competed against my brother in, I think it was 12 and 13 or 13 and 14 out at NorCal Regionals. So I knew Neil through that. So I saw how competitive Neil was out there. And he did not seem friendly at all. And then Dave was like, hey, I'm going to hook you up with Neil. He's looking for a place to go. And I was like, are you shitting me? Like the one guy, like, who is the most unfriendly CrossFitter I could imagine. And he showed up at my gym and we've become great friends. And that guy has taught me a lot over the last few years. So, I mean, he's an incredible athlete, incredible competitor. Obviously, just an all-around good guy. So it's great.
Dave,
Yeah, he's awesome.
Dave, talking about the Masters, does it surprise you the amount of master athletes that test positive for PEDs?
Maybe that goes back to my statement about you guys all look so big.
He was dancing around the issue.
I don't know if it's it doesn't kind of. I mean, like, doesn't surprise me.
Dave, it's 10 grand to win the thing. What the hell is the Masters doing taking that shit?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. People take shit just to look good, right? I mean, people take shit even non-competitively. So, like, it totally makes sense. If your reputation or if you're competitive and you want to get a little edge, it doesn't surprise me. Let's just say that. It also, like, I believe, I've said this in other interviews, if we tested everyone at the games, everybody, we don't, there'd be a lot more people, right? It's a numbers game. We test podium. We don't test the entire individual field. I think if we did, it'd be an eye opener. But we test the winners, and even on with you guys, same thing. We don't test every Masters athlete, but look at the ones we do test. And I'm not saying everyone we test pops, but yeah, it seems like there's a disproportionately high number amongst your cohort. I guess I'd really like to dive into that and really see, like, relative percentage-wise to the amount of people we test in your group to who actually pops. What that looks like compared to the other.
You know what was crazy about last year too, Dave? Like, it wiped out like it was either the 50 to 54 women or the 55 to 59 women's podium, right? Like 2/3 wiped out from PEDs, which, like, it's just, it becomes unfathomable at that point that there are 50-plus-year-old women that are taking PEDs, But
Well, they
That is
call it
wild.
hormones, right?
yeah, I guess so.
Isn't that the thing of it though? At that age, they're talking about, well, they're just taking them for hormone purposes as opposed to just being a performance in an athletic world, right?
Yeah.
Or that's their spin on it.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, can we go back to something you said earlier about 19 being a transition year? Can you go into that at all or not really?
Well, I mean, obviously it was, right? We changed a lot of things. We didn't have the regionals. There was the sanctioned events, the qualification process to get to the games. That's the sort of thing I was talking about. The number of what was that called? Country champions.
Yeah.
So it was a transition year in the way the games looked and the way the games were conducted. It was very different than how we had done them the previous years. So it looked a lot different. And that's what I meant by the transition statement.
Gotcha.
Different era.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Masters were kind of a byproduct, I guess, of that, right? It's kind of
well, through that, so that, because we took all the additional people on the age or the country champions, if we would have had the same amount of you guys, we would have been overrun with athletes. So something had to give. That's part of the reason why we reduced the field to 10 is because of all the additional individual athletes, country champions.
Gotcha. So
logistics. A lot of our decisions are made based off of logistics sometimes.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Looking at this year, right? So you were on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, so I just looked at my comments. Someone just said Masters got screwed.
Who was it? Who said that?
That was me. That was me. Sorry, Dave.
You know what it was? It was Neil.
Girl.
It was Neil. Bad
guy. Keel girl. Keal girl. Okay, keep going.
So going into this year, right? So you were on that podcast a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember the name of it exactly. And you were talking about, the state of the games due to COVID, right? Has anything kind of changed in the last 2 weeks or no?
Yes, but not. We're not ready to talk about it. But yes, there's a lot of movement going on. Sevan commented, and there'll be some announcements shortly, I think, that will clear it up. There'll be, we're all dealing with this stuff, right? And it's the Olympics got canceled, and more things are getting canceled, and so it's probably going to look very different, right? But how it looks is still being determined.
Okay.
Sevon Matosian just said Masters should be happy they're alive.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Clint, you don't sound so good over there.
Listen, I'm dealing with it every day.
Dave, you ever write a workout that you thought was going to be like super awesome, and then the athletes were totally like ruined afterwards, or in the middle of it, you're like, oh shit, what did I do to these people?
You mean a rock run at the games?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the rock. There was an event 2 years ago at the games. God, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, the intent was for so oftentimes when we program workouts or tests, I call them, for the games, I have a mindset in terms of, okay, the whole field's going to finish this. Okay, half the field's going to finish this. 2 or 3 people are going to finish this. And it's all a function of the time cap. So, I mean, you could change all of that by increasing it. Usually, so that's another thing. Usually when people don't finish events at the games, it's only because of our arbitrary time cap. It's not because they're not able to do it. If there wasn't a time cap, which again goes to logistics, they would be able to finish. But when creating some of these workouts within those time caps, I still have that, okay, this workout is everybody's going to finish. This workout is 50% are going to finish. And this workout is 1 to 2 are going to finish. And there was, oh man, it was the final. What year was it? I think it was what the fuck was it? Yeah, like I thought 50% of the field was going to finish.
Was it
the Fibonacci? That's what it was.
Yeah.
The Fibonacci, exactly. Only a couple people finished. And so when I was watching that go down, I was kind of like, ooh, this is, and in testing, we had people test it and they all finished within the time cap, but that was one kind of different than what you're saying, but that's how I relate to your statement or your question or your question is in terms of that. Less people finished it than I was hoping for or expecting. That event for me should have been a 50% event, meaning 50% of the field should have finished it within our arbitrary time cap. But so our time cap was maybe a little too aggressive or maybe inappropriate for what I was looking for. Now, it didn't affect crowning the fittest alive or the overall results. We were still able to rank everybody, but I still would have liked to have seen that one play out where more people finished. But other times there are events where we create them where only 1 or 2 people will finish. You see that a lot at regionals too. We'd make some really aggressive workouts, tests with tight time caps at regionals that, maybe throughout the whole 3 weeks of regionals, only a couple people would finish.
Do you ever, Dave, write workouts specifically to, like, in the back of your mind, like maybe for some people to, like?
No, I really try. I don't. I really don't think of people when I make them. After the fact, I'll think of, okay, this person might do really well at this, or this person might get fucked up by it. But I really don't try to think of people when I program. Yeah.
Do you normally test Do you normally test all the Masters workouts for the games, or do you have someone test them for you?
I don't test anything anymore.
Yeah.
There was a time when I would test them, but nowadays I don't. But are you just asking if we have people test them?
Yeah.
Yes, we do have people. Yes. So the guys. So like, if you saw some of the documentaries or some of the footage from a few years ago, I had a testing facility in San Diego when I lived down there where I test workouts. Yep. There was mainly individuals and teams. Sometimes I'd do master stuff, but some of these guys who create the workouts and then submit them to me, I'll have them test them. Not them, but they'll have people test them. And then we'll go back and forth. So they are tested. Testing events and workouts is really important so you can find the appropriate time cap and see how it affects the athletes.
Sure.
Dave, what was your thought on adding swimming to the games? Like, how did that come about?
It was awesome. That's what it was, Clint.
I agree.
California.
Well, swimming for the individuals, I mean, I think we did that the first year in Carson in 2010. Was it the first year? Maybe it was the second year, but we did that early on because we were in LA. Well, that was later. We did ocean swims probably 3 or 4 times pre-doing a pool. And then the first time you guys swam was our first year in Madison, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever made the Masters swim in LA. But if you have enough events where you're testing all the necessary things you need to test for fitness, I think swimming's okay to add. If you have a limited amount of events or a limited number of tests, I don't think swimming is that appropriate. Meaning regionals. Let's say there's 6 events at regionals. In 6 events, there's so many things you want to try to get in and test. Swimming shouldn't be one of them. Same thing, I'd say the same for some of these sanctioned events. If you can't do, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, I'm not going to put an exact number on it. But if you can't get all the things you need to get tested to test for fitness, you shouldn't have swimming. But if you have the flexibility and the volume of events where you can squeeze it in, yeah, it's totally appropriate to squeeze in. The Earth's covered, 2/3 of the Earth is covered by water. You should know how to swim.
Yeah, but like I always
You know how to
say,
swim fast.
but like I say, there's not a pool at a CrossFit gym.
That's fine.
That's how I look. I was just trying to figure out how, like,
That's
somebody
true,
come up with the
but
idea.
I don't think it's still a decent, again, when you have the room for it. Okay, how many events did you guys do last year at the games? Not many. You remember?
Like 6
We had like 8 or 9 scored events, I think. No, that's not
It
right.
was like 6 events though.
6, yeah, it was like 6
8 or 9
events
scores.
and maybe 8 or 9 scores. Because like I said, the last workout was 2 RM overhead and then a 2 scored bi-couplet again that you guys ran for the games the year before, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we had 8 events.
Well, see, and there was less, even in that discussion, there's 6 workouts, although you did say there's 8 or 9 scored, so that would make me a little more comfortable with the swim.
Right.
But I think we didn't swim you guys last year more out of logistics than out of the test. But I think swimming is a great addition. Cycling is a great addition too. Again, if you have enough other events and if you're blanket testing fitness, adding cycling in is okay. Now, super high skill things that, and at this point, I don't view swimming as super high skill. There are people who have a distinct advantage over non-swimmers. If you grew up swimming, you do have an advantage over someone who did not grow up swimming. But we've been swimming long enough in the CrossFit Games now that if you're in the individual side, you can pretty much assume you should get really good at swimming and work on it. The stand-up paddleboarding, that's one where it's kind of like, okay, it's cool, but it's really, there's a lot of skill in that, where if you stand up paddleboard and versus someone who's never done the stand-up paddleboard, they're going to be at a significant disadvantage. That's why we did the prone paddleboard, because at least it kind of makes it a little more even and takes some of the skill out of it. Although there is a skill to prone paddleboarding if you go up on your knees, which is actually really, really hard. Doing what some of the Aussies did is not easy because the board wants to flip over. But that was an acceptable amount of previous knowledge being beneficial to the athlete. Like everyone else was still able to just stroke and paddle away and stay relevant.
Dave, are you involved in the sanctional event programming at all? Do they reach out to you, these sanctional events, and say, hey, we want to, shoot air guns and stuff, do you have a say in any of that to be like, dude, I don't know, it's a little hokey, or is there any involvement there?
In the first year, a handful of them asked me to look at their programming or to be involved. I actually said yes to a few. Then I just kind of got overwhelmed with all the other stuff going on that I was working on and didn't and then I just decided, there's a point where I just started telling people like, no, I'm not gonna help. I'm not gonna give you feedback, and I don't really look at and I'm this year less asked because the year before I just didn't do it at all for anyone. So, and I don't really want to do it. I don't want to. Now, here's the deal. Unless we were completely responsible for them, and unless we decided as an organization, CrossFit Inc., to oversee their programming, then sure, I'd be involved in it. But we very deliberately have decided not to be involved with their events or their programming, and they can do whatever they want. So therefore, I'm not going to get involved. Do whatever you want. And yeah, you do see some things that I don't frankly agree with, but whatever, it's on them. It's not on us. And I think I'm just staying completely out of it. And I don't want, like, I'd tell you what, like, that does not sound fun to me to especially for an event I'm not responsible for, to look at their programming and to give them feedback, because doing that for me is such an in-depth process, like looking at programming and I have to go to the venue, and I have to go to, when I program these events, I have to walk the floor and I have to just feel it and see it. So it's so much more than just looking at programming on paper for me. And maybe that sounds stupid, but that's how it is.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. I'd be overwhelmed if I actually looked at their programming. And I don't like a lot of other programming. I don't like seeing what people do sometimes.
Yeah. Plus, I wouldn't want to. If it was me, I wouldn't want to waste a good event on a different. I want to use a great event at the games and not waste it. But
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
Yeah.
Are you tired of answering?
Interestingly, here's a little. I think sometimes people think too much about the programming being the star of their event. But really, the reality is all the programming is the opportunity for you guys to shine. You guys make the event what it is. You guys make the show what it is. But people try to they think, oh, I'm going to have this awesome programming that's going to read gnarly, and people are going to look at it and be like, that's so crazy. And they want the programming to be the star, especially you see that with other programmers, when really all the programming is it facilitates you guys being the star. And that's part of it. That's part of good programming, is letting it just show how good you guys are and what you're capable of.
Are you tired of answering the cuts questions and negative feedback you've gotten at the games from last year?
Yeah, really fucking tired. But I mean, here's the deal. I mean, it's just like, it's fresh on everybody's mind because of this new documentary, right? It's like, of course, everyone's talking about it. This documentary talked about it. And then I did a few interviews where I talk about it. And I'm doing my thing on Instagram where I'm really just promoting the sport and promoting the film. People think I'm like coming at these guys and I'm like taking it personal. I don't have any issue with these guys. It's all part of like promoting the sport and supporting Heber and Mars with their film, which also supports our sport and promotes the sport. So I'm just posting that stuff to, I don't want to say to troll anybody, because I'm not doing it to troll. I'm being very direct, but to get the juices flowing.
But isn't that part of the fun?
Make people want to watch. Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that part of the fun? And that goes to it in a way, like from like the masters, but the individuals, like you are the bad guy, Dave, like there is no bad guy athlete. They're all community and they hug each other and talk about how great they are. But, you're the bad guy. You're the guy that they're like, oh, Dave put too much running in, or he did this and he doesn't want me to win, See, I would think that's part of the fun for you.
Well, I don't intentionally do it, but I am like, I'm okay being the bad guy, but I'm not, again, it's not like I'm trying like, oh, what can I do to be the bad guy? I'm just being me, and if I was an athlete though, if I was competitive and if I was capable, which I'm not, I would totally fucking be the bad guy. I say that, but maybe I would.
That's good.
I love it.
Hey, Dave, back to Masters real quick. And if there is a games in 2020 or hypothetically the next games, one of the things that happened with the Masters last year was there's no media coverage at all. Are there any plans to kind of reintroduce like a camera, right?
One camera would be cool, right? Yeah.
I don't think I'm asking.
As long as it's not
Like
Bob,
I
that's
said,
all I'm worried about.
I would like to see something back. I don't know if it's possible at this stage, but look, here's the thing. Everything's going to change this year with what's going on. So, like, I guess speaking in like a normal environment, speaking in terms of last year or the year before, sure, it would be great to have some media back. But the thing is, the stance we're taking is we're not going to produce or we're not going to cover it, and it's for everyone else to, if they want. It's for the community. It's for the morning chalk up. It's for whoever else is in the community to cover. And I think there's no, like, no one wanted to do the Masters. So maybe it'll get to the point where some of these guys have enough interest, money, or want to invest in it. But it's like CrossFit's stance is we're not covering the event. That's how it is. That's how it was talking about then, right?
Yeah.
So going forward, maybe it'll change. I hope it does.
I mean,
I'd like to see it covered.
If we could get a camera, I know that there are people out there, like there's this group, Masters Fitness Collective, right? Who their whole thing is to produce media content for Masters CrossFitters, right? Like if we could have a camera, those guys would be happy to jump in and kind of fill that void. But that's kind of the model, I guess, that you guys are running with these days, which is, expose it out to everybody and see who picks it up, right?
Someone said, AKA find someone who wants to watch old people exercise. That's right. But it's funny.
Ask them their Fran time.
Yeah, well, maybe that group is interested in taking it on. Tell them to contact us.
I will. Yeah. I will, for sure.
Yep.
Cool. We have anything else, guys? We want to
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to waste it all since you're going to come back next week, Dave, we'll save it for then, but listen, Dave.
Does he want to program our workout this week?
Yeah, so we do a workout. Somebody puts a workout out every week, and we do it, and we talk about it, and we talk shit about it, and we film it to make sure it's legit. So some of these guys were cheating, not putting clips on the bar, which,
They let the girl win this week.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Okay, well, I have a word for you that it's going to be an easy one for me to come up with because I was thinking about it today. But how many of you did the event 2 of the support your box?
Yeah.
The 100 double unders, 21 burpees, 75 double unders, 15 burpees. Did any of you guys do that?
Not yet.
No. Here's what I'm interested in then. Here's what could be your next week workout. 3 rounds of 100 double unders, 21 burpees.
All right.
Justin's
I love it.
Yeah.
Dave, get on the board. I'm programming all these games workouts for Christ's sakes. All right. I remember actually, you know what? I remember in 2018, was it Eric, the judge, the head judge, the master judge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he programmed the last workout. It was GH sit-ups and what was it, guys? Was it
Sandbag clean?
Sandbag clean, and you made us do it with a 20-pound, 90 GH sit-ups with a 20-pound wall ball.
Yeah.
90?
3 rounds of
That
30 GHs.
That was over-programmed. That's because I walked back.
At least you admit it. That's why I asked you if it was if you had an oh shit moment.
I like that one, Justin. I like that. 2018 was my favorite games year.
Yeah, you're like 6'2" something,
Yeah.
Pounds.
I'm like 5'7" with heels.
That's
All right,
fun.
Dave, you got it.
Thanks, Dave.
What's a good time?
All right. I don't know. That's what I said. Nobody's done that. So 3 rounds of 100 double unders, 21 burpees.
All right, I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Bar facing?
All right.
Bar facing or
Nah, just
6 inch?
Just regular.
Regular.
Regular burpees.
Stand all the way up, Justin. Stand all the way up.
I'm going to do 6 inch target. I think that's fair.
You guys do what you need to do.
All right.
Well, Dave, thanks for joining us. And you know, if you ever want to come back on and let us make a big announcement about the games, this is the place to do it. All right.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys
Thanks,
have
Dave.
more female athletes on the call?
I didn't hear you, Dave. What was that?
Why don't you guys have more female athletes on the call?
Yeah. Listen, well, you know what? Jeb kind of said it. Jeb kind of said it. You know, we all know each other. You know, we've all competed against one another, and you know, we all sit and talk Masters and sit and talk like, why don't they cover us, and how come no one cares about, you know, how good I am, you know? So it's cool to, but we don't really talk a lot to the females. We just don't. There's not a lot.
We don't. I was thinking this. Like, I hardly get to know the females because we're competing at the same time, right? Like,
Right.
And they're all married usually too. You know, I mean.
Not all of us boys. I'll bring a girl next week. I'll get somebody on it.
All right, cool.
I'll talk
All right.
somebody into it.
Guys,
All right, thanks a lot.
thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
guys.
Dave.
inviting me. Have a good one.
You
Later.
too.
All right, guys, so we'll do this workout. All right, I wrote it down. I'll send it out.
All right.
This counts as your week's programming, Justin. This is yours.
It's fine. No, I mean, what? He said regular burpees.
No, I know. But yeah, this is in your wheelhouse. Yep.
Hey, listen, you know?
Justin, if you don't win this, you know, I'm going to talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, you know what? I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I wish
Jen, I'm looking at you to win this, Jen.
I wish there were more burpees. I wish
I'll
there
try.
were more burpees.
I'm a little smaller to the ground. So.
Yeah, not much though. He's like, what are you, Justin? 5'2"? Is that what you said?
With
5'7". 190 right now.
Are you really?
190.
Yeah, I feel like that's all I'm doing is eating right now.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
You-
You guys want to briefly touch on that workout
Yeah.
we did?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Bob, you did you write that or was that a class
Yeah.
workout?
No, yeah, I wrote that one up. Again, I thought going into it that it was going to be a workout for me to win. I'm pretty sure I came in last.
I don't know. 848 is pretty slow, man.
Yeah. Oh no, I came in second to last behind you. That's right, C. I fully redlined it, man. Like I went super hard out of the gate. Was trying to keep up with my coach, who's like a handstand push-up freak, and yeah, I redlined really, really hard. But you know, in training, I kind of like to do that every once in a while. I like to have that in the back of my mind of like, okay, if I run into something similar to this again, you know, don't fuck up like I just did, right? And I have a history of doing that in kind of big comps, like 2018 Granite Games going into the final event. It was a two-parter, and the first part was 40-foot handstand walk, 16 ring muscle ups, and then a 40-foot handstand walk, and then you did something else afterwards. I don't remember what the second part of the workout was, but I was behind. I was in second place, and I was like, well, fuck it. I came here to win, so I'm just gonna go balls out. And so I did the 40 feet. I jumped up on the rings, and the original plan wasn't to go unbroken, but my judge started getting really excited, and like the 4 fans that were there started getting really excited. I came down off of the rings afterwards, and I'm 90 seconds ahead of the next guy, right? Like I'm massively ahead of everyone. I kick up to do the handstand walk. I made it 30 feet out of the 40 or 36 feet out of the 40 and couldn't make it the final 4 feet. Like it just completely shit the bed. But it was a good learning experience. And now I kind of have that in the back of my, you know, in my little toolkit just like this shit show that I did last week. So
To me, it's always amazing. Like, no matter how long we've been doing this, like I looked at that workout, Bob, and same thing. Like, I didn't think the handstand push-ups are going to be a big deal. I'm like, oh, I'll just bang those out a little bit real quick and get onto the barbell. And so it still amazes me. Like, we've been doing this how long, and a workout like that can sneak up and bite you in the ass. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I totally, I'm right there with you on that one.
If we were smart about it, we would have looked at it and said, okay, we're not going to fail any clean and jerks. Like, the weight's not heavy enough to fail, but we could fail the
That's
handstand
close.
push-ups. So we should manage the workout around that, right? Around the failure point.
But I was with Mike. I was like, oh, this will be in my head. I'm like under 5 minutes. So I'm only gonna end up doing, 20, 25 push-ups at the most.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. But man, right away it was, I think 3 on the third minute mark. I was like, oh man, this isn't going the way I want.
moment creeped in. Like, oh no.
Yeah. I
Especially-
wound up splitting a couple of them too. It got nasty at the end. I would definitely wound up splitting a couple of the jerks at the end too. Blech.
Did you?
Yeah,
I
a couple of them.
There were handstand push-ups. The last 2 sets, I did 3 and then 2, and it was like,
Yeah.
I was down to singles.
There
I was
you-
down to, and I did 1 whole minute where I didn't get any clean and jerks. It took
Oh no.
a minute to do my 5 strict handstand push-ups.
I missed my
And he's
last.
sitting there like, God damn it, I programmed this damn thing.
Exactly.
Bob, I didn't watch your video. What did you go hot on?
What's that?
I didn't watch your video. Where did you go out too hot?
Right from the start, man. So I did the 5 handstand push-ups, and I think I did 3. I was able to get through 3 clean and jerks at 185 in the first minute.
Oh, okay.
And then then
how do you change your weights that fast?
He used 3 bars, no clips,
1 bar clips, and
That's why we don't have the video.
I fucking work out.
and a skull mat.
Yeah, right. I used a 4-inch ab mat.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. So I did mine outside in my kind of makeshift home gym here that I have. And I couldn't see the clock. I'm not making excuses. I'm fat and out of shape right now. So kudos to you guys for crushing that damn workout. And I felt I'm pretty good at all of those movements, but just the setup, I couldn't see the camera, loading the bar. I was taking the clips off, walking to the handstand area that I had set up. Like, during the qualifier workouts, whether it's, aid group or open stuff, just having barbells and things placed in the right area, man, look at my video. I'm wasting 30, 40 seconds putting the damn weight on the barbell, for God's sakes.
I watched your video. I'm watching you squinting for the clock, like squinting. I'm like, just move, man. What are you doing? I'm watching you. And then I watched Joel's video, and I guess even Clint too, like had like the perpendicular setup, wall and barbell. I'm like, oh shit, that's like the open standard, how you want to shape. Meanwhile, I was like, all right, I had the wall there. I walked this way. I'm like, oh man. But yeah, definitely. I was watching how everybody had the setups going. It was good. And Clint, I saw your video. You 201 was your tiebreak time. That's you always rep number 10 at 185.
I started before the 2 minutes. I can't help it went over.
Oh, we got to go to Bob's got the ruling.
No, that's good, man. He touched the bar right before. I don't think you have to finish the rep. You have to start the rep, just like an Oli.
Before 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, well, shit. If I would have known that, Bob, damn.
Yeah.
Well, look.
I would have just held the bar,
That
put my
would've been-
hands on the bar.
That would have taken a minute off my time.
Oh,
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. A tiebreaker? What was the tiebreaker?
when
you
you
finish
finish
the second bar.
Oh,
I picked it up at like 158. And
Yeah.
did it.
I don't even know.
James, you got to finish that movement before that clock runs to the next.
Usually
minute.
you have to start it before the 2 minute or the minute mark.
I'll
Gotcha.
tell you,
I'll give it to you.
the combination, that combination was awful because you come off the wall and you're fucking dizzy and you're smashing your head into the ground as hard as you can to get the bounce a little bit, It's not like picking up a deadlift bar like Diane, where it's like, okay, I'm just going to go up and down. You got to clean it. The bar is choking you. You got to get it over your head. Like for me, it was coming off the wall. It was like a fight. Like I was getting punched in the neck by the bar, and You know, it was a train wreck. To me, it was awful. I don't know if I was having a bad day, but it definitely, like when I got off the wall, I was like fucking dizzy. I was like, oh, you know, I couldn't even find the bar. I almost tripped over it one time, you know?
You gotta breathe when you're upside down, Justin.
I was breathing. I really was. It's just, it wasn't working.
Well, and think about how shitty the original workout that I had thrown out there would have been, right? Originally, I'd said 4 bars, and we were going to end at 225, like that.
I would have failed. I would have.
Thank God.
So 225 would be what, 175 for girls or 165?
155 usually.
155, yeah.
Usually around there, it's 55, I think.
Okay.
Which they
Yeah.
up that for the ladies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies are
I don't know about that.
Hey, Jen, what do you think about like how I've kind of noticed it in like the programming that I follow, that they've started to increase the percentage for women, right? So it used to be 70%, you know, was kind of what they would, I don't know if scale, right? You know, they would adjust the weight for women and it would be 70%. Now it seems to be more closer to like 75%. You know, do you think that that's kind of the right way to go?
I mean, honestly, I don't mind that part. But I like a heavy barbell because it allows me to slow down. I don't have to breathe so hard. So anytime the weight is a little bit heavier, it makes me happy. I would much rather do that than a 95-pound barbell or a 65-pound barbell or whatever. So I don't really pay that much attention to when it's heavy. I kind of get excited because, okay, well, that's a good excuse to go a little slower and lift a little heavier and, you know, whatever. I feel like in the masters division across the board, I mean, and again, it's kind of like you guys were saying, I don't get to see you guys compete as much, or the women don't know the men quite as well. But at least with the women, I feel like, man, all these girls are so fast, moving lightweight fast. So I don't know what it's like in the men's division, but anytime there's like some kind of lightweight, you know, body weight, whatever kind of movement, the girls can just cycle a lightweight barbell so fast, like a 65, 75, 85-pound barbell. It's ridiculous. So, you know, I like it when it's the heavier percentages or heavier weights overall. That's where I personally struggle as an athlete, is when it's lightweight. I don't know. That's where my hole in my game is, I guess. But I don't know. Do you guys find that as you get up in the masters divisions, or that the guys are moving the lightweight fast, or not really?
Yeah, well, we spent the entire first episode of this talking shit about the guy who won in our division. Because,
And then we had him on last week.
yeah, we had him on last week. But, you know, his engine is unmatched, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, you know, it's really hard to keep up with that. And so, you know, I'm with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
give me a heavy barbell to kind of slow everybody down a little bit.
Yeah.
Tired of chasing.
Jen, I didn't know if everybody was getting faster or if it was just me getting slower. So
I like to think it's not us getting slower, right?
right. That's what I'm going with. Makes me
Yeah.
feel better about myself at nighttime before I go to bed.
For real.
Hey, Jen, I got a question for you. Do you, I mean, going off of what you heard from the male side, you know, of how masters are kind of treated and all that, are the women on the same page as us, or do they not care? Do they not talk about it? Like,
Oh no, I would say we talk a lot of shit about it amongst ourselves. Like, nobody really gives a shit about the masters. You know, in general, we're in a horse barn, no cameras, you know, I mean, corralled for 45 minutes just, you know, to make sure whatever. But is that what you mean? Like in general, talking about that sort of thing?
yeah, I mean, like, you guys sit there and talk programming and say, hey, this is way too heavy or too light?
No, I wouldn't say we talk about programming as much, because there's a lot of women, especially that were there last year, that, you know, there were maybe three of us that feel the way that I feel about wanting the heavy stuff. And everybody else, they were like ex-triathlons, they played soccer in college, they're runners, you know, so they were all like pumped to have all the super lightweight stuff. So there was maybe a couple of us talking under our breath, like, give me another fucking heavy 1 rep max, 2 rep max, whatever kind of thing. But there were a lot of people that were like, oh, we get to go do a run, yay, have fun, I love running. And I'm like, what
That's
the
Justin.
fuck, no.
That was Justin's voice. He was just imitating you, Justin.
I didn't like the run. I thought the run sucked. The rough run was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought.
So, Jenn, compared to 17 and 18, what do you think about 19 at the games?
Oh, I didn't. It was terrible for me. I mean, I had torn my hamstring like 7 weeks before the games, I think. So it was just just a bad games for me, period. I think the most I had run was 400 meters before the games. So then to have to go do the ruck thing was just, it was terrible. So it was just a bad games for me overall. And then personally, my dad died 2 weeks before the games. So like, it was just kind of one of those things. I was just happy to still be able to go, still be able to get through it, all that kind of stuff. But it was definitely, I remember the 2 rep max overhead squat and the ruck, and I really have blocked out a lot of the other stuff, I think. But that's about it.
It's a shared sentiment. So
Jenn,
it is what it is.
do you think there'll be a games this year? We all voiced our opinion the last 2 weeks. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially after hearing what Dave had to say, I think they're going to cancel it. I'd love to think, okay, August is far enough away and maybe they'll figure out a way that they can do it. But just with the way things are going, I just don't think they're going to.
You see, I'm with Bob. I'm with Bob here. I kind of caught a different vibe from Dave. I thought he was going to put something together, whether it was going to be no fans or I know he mentioned cancellation of the Olympics, but he kind of to me, it was like, it might not look like like what we normally see, but there might be something, I don't know. I mean,
it's all going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, Jeb's pretty optimistic about it, I mean.
Maybe something all online. I mean, they could do something all online.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go online either. It's going to be, I mean, who knows? It's going to be interesting. I asked you that too because, we all spoke about it, but you had a great finish to the age qualifier. I mean, looking at your numbers yesterday, all top 10 finishes, and out of all the workouts that you did.
You probably didn't even know that, did you, Jenn?
4 of them in the top 5, were you kind of, before this whole COVID thing and everything kind of happened, were you kind of thinking like, hey, this is going to be a great year for me?
Yeah. I mean, I've missed podium every year. And like in January, I would say this year, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like whatever's happening, I'm not just maintaining. I don't feel like I'm just managing an injury for a change. Like, I don't know. I think it could happen this year. And then, all this happened. So, but I did have my best finish in the qualifier this year. So it's like, sure would be nice to have a shirt with the number 2 on it, right?
Right. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I'd love it if they did something like you said. I mean, maybe no fans or some kind of smaller scale. I just feel like, again, we're as masters athletes, we've all made it. So we're all like, woohoo, but all the sanctional events that have gotten canceled, I don't know how they're going to feel like they can put on a CrossFit Games and not get as much money from as many athletes that they would have normally gotten otherwise. Like, I feel like it's going to come down to big business and money. I don't know.
Well, but with that though, Jenn, they're only missing out on like 30 athletes. It's really more the teams that they get fucked by not having the sanctionals, right? Because they have all the open people, and there's 4 or 5 sanctionals that actually happen, right?
No.
So
You
yeah,
get
it's like 15 or so that are probably not going to happen, but
I think Wadapalooza was the last one, right?
yeah.
I think Miami, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
The Brazilian team just took
Oh,
place.
maybe Brazil or Canada East or some shit. I don't know.
Hey, Justin, I was going to ask you, since you didn't do Wadapalooza, now do you wish you would have?
In hindsight, yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what it was, Jeb? I mean, it just, it would be like you and Meg opened up the gym and then
Yeah.
a month later being like, all right, honey, I'm going to go hang out in Miami. I'm going to do some competing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I know why you didn't go. I was just, the other day I was thinking like I was pretty grateful that I decided to go and I got to compete. And then I was thinking about you, how you had qualified and then decided, you know, or for different reasons you couldn't.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I would have loved to gone. I mean, even again, I mean, we kind of alluded it to Dave, but I mean, that's how I met all you guys, quite frankly. I remember, you know, one of the things I was going to talk about was like, you know, what were your first impressions of some of these guys, you know, and Jen, again, you know, I don't met you, but I remember the first time I met Jeb was in Maryland, you know, doing a grid thing. So I was like, oh, Jeb Simmons, let me look this guy up. And he's one space above me in the open, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, and, you know, started to talk to him and he didn't want to talk to me at all. His coach kind of.
So let me tell this story. When I went to that tryouts, my coach at the time, Rudy from Outlaw, was like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go there. We're going to find the best Masters athlete there. And you're going to, so there was, how many stations were there, Justin? Like 10 stations?
Had to be something like that.
It's like two rep, clean and jerk, max, toes to bar, max, muscle ups. Anyways, he's like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and see who the best Masters guy there is. And I want you to step in line right after he goes and you got to one up him on everything. And I was like, really? He's like, yes. So it was pretty clear that Justin was pretty damn good. And I started I don't know if I've ever even told you this, Justin, but I started following Justin around. Like I would cut in line right behind Justin. So if he clean and jerked 300, I was going to do 305, whatever it took. If he did 15 fucking muscle ups unbroken, I was going to do 16. And that's all I was doing. I was just following him around. Like, I'm just going to do one better than he is on everything and prove that I'm the best one here. And that was my whole, and then Justin turns out to be this super nice guy that wants to talk to me and hang out. And I'm like, what the, like, no, I'm competing against you. That was my, you know, like, you can't be nice to me. I don't like you. You're my competition right now. Anyways, long story short, like we both ended up getting drafted in the grid league and obviously we became friends, but that was my first take on Justin. I just wanted to kick his ass because I wanted to get on grid league and he didn't even know it. So that's how it went.
Clint, you're pretty talkative, you know, like, you know, what, do you have any, you know, moment you had, you know, was there, you know, no? Nothing.
You mean, what, meeting somebody?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like I think I met you at Wadapalooza.
Yeah, Wadapalooza. Same with Jeb, but you got Bill's like, don't talk to anybody. He goes, be that weirdo in the corner and intimidate everybody. So I'm like, all right. So my first year at the games, like, I didn't talk to anybody. I was just that guy. Nobody knew who I was. You know, I just, you know, I wanted to intimidate everybody. But then, you know, the second year, I'm like, all right, I can talk to guys, and you know. By my third year, I'm like, all right, you know, I'm talking to everybody.
That's like my first year at Granite Game. I didn't know anyone. I was pissed off the whole time, just trying to win the damn thing. And then Justin's like, oh, you're from Jersey. You know, a buddy of mine, constantly in my ear trying to talk to me. I'm like, would you leave me the fuck alone? I'm just trying to. Now he's one of my best friends.
I think the women are similar in that, you know, like people, you start making connections and meeting faces and all that kind of stuff. But like Wadapalooza this year was really different because there was hardly anybody from the games at Wadapalooza. So I feel like it was almost like that whole starting over thing again of a lot of new faces. So that was just a different weird thing I would say this year as far as Wadapalooza goes compared to the games.
I felt that same way at Wadapalooza. It was my last year as a 44-year-old athlete, so I didn't know a lot of the younger guys. But it was definitely there was about 5 of them that were there to win it and didn't want to talk to anyone else. While they're having a good time, having fun, trying to shoot the shit. I mean, I talked to Jeb a couple of times about it and saying, how's your division right now? Because my guys are pretty damn serious.
Yeah. It was all new guys for me just about too, but they were fun though. We had a good time. We had a good group. So did you just age up, Jen, or how old are you?
I'm 46. This is my second year in this division.
Okay.
How about you guys?
45.
Yeah, I actually turned 46 on Thursday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm
Not telling you
48.
happy birthday yet.
Kern's itching to get in. He
Next
can't
year.
wait to get up into our division. He's been licking his chops for 2 years.
I know. I've been on the back end of this 40 to 44 division, and I'm like, oh, geez, can't wait
That's
to get
the
to
worst.
45. But
Mike,
then
did
you
you
guys
do
kick my
the
ass in these workouts. I'm like, what am I waiting for? I don't know. Maybe 50. Maybe 50 will be my.
did you do the W's the Wadapalooza qualifiers?
I didn't do it this year. I figured like if I knew I couldn't go in that February break when they moved it from January to February. So I'm like, and I know how competitive I am. If I qualify, I don't think I'll be able to resist the temptation of still going. So I'm like, let me just not do it. And my thinking, I was eyeing up Granite Games. I've never been to the Granite Games. I was hoping to go to Granite Games this year, and now that's all out. So I don't know.
Nice.
Wow. How many people you got signed up for Legends?
Several hundred, man.
Okay,
Yeah, Legends is going pretty well. So
good man.
That's awesome.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
you know, it's always the backstop for all you guys. We not get games. So
When you
Ben.
doing that?
well, the qualifier, we moved the qualifier out to June. It was supposed to be in May, but we moved out to June just because we figured everybody's gyms are still closed and it's not, in the ass to do the qualifier. But the championship's supposed to be September, it's supposed to start September 11th, but there's a chance that that's going to get moved also. And originally I liked that time frame because it's in between the games and the Open. But I almost don't give a shit if it overlaps with the Open now, because like last year the Legends Championship overlapped with the third week of the Wadapalooza qualifier, and we just programmed that in as one of the events, and it was awesome, and I would just do the same with the Open this year, right? So we expanded the field, and we're supposed to be moving it to the Del Mar Fairgrounds, which is where the California and West Regional used to be. So it's going well, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
Lastly, before we maybe call it a day, how's everything going in your city? I mean, I kind of know Mike's and Steve's. Probably you guys are in the same situation that we are, right? So things are getting a little bit better here as far as numbers and cases and stuff. How's the other Jen? Where are you? Are you in?
I'm in Florida. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, so that you're like an area that's about to get bad, right? No?
Yeah, we've been a little bit behind, the big cities, I would say, so far. So they say that I think the peak is supposed to be in the next week to 2 weeks or something like that. So we'll see.
All right. Jeb?
Yeah. So our peak is supposed to be this week. I think they changed it to now, but the county that I live in, I know we did a really good job of flattening the curve or whatever. So in Wisconsin, it's it's nothing like what you guys are dealing with. Most people are doing a really good job of staying home and doing what they can. So, but we'll see. I mean, I do have to say though, my members have been super awesome with sticking with us with the online programming, and the amount of people that have reached out to donate money to people that are struggling with jobs in order, they're donating money to help people keep their membership going and stuff like that for the gym. It's been amazing. It's just really cool to see the community come together in times like this. So it's been pretty neat.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Clint, what about you?
You know my story, dude. I see a couple people a day,
Right.
and it's all older people.
Right.
So it's just where I see it. It's just getting people that were gonna die anyways.
Right.
So I've only seen a couple of youngerish people, but mostly old people.
How's the
I don't know your whole story, man. Just from what Justin said the other day, are you like some kind of post-mortem person?
Yeah, I embalm bodies.
Okay.
So that's all I do. So now I'm going around. I have the work I do anyway. So now I'm seeing a couple people a day, and it's just the gear I got to put on now. So I hopefully don't get it. So it's weird. Hopefully.
I was gonna say, what is the exposure for you?
I'm not really sure. I mean, they're not breathing, so it's a lot less. But I wear a respirator and all that stuff. So,
Well,
there, and hopefully I'll be all right. So,
is it fucked up that I'm the only one that thought that was hilarious?
I was trying to hold my laugh in, Bob, make you look like an asshole.
what? Because they're not breathing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I actually, it sounded pretty, fundamental. I mean, I do agree with you, Clint. They aren't breathing.
Yeah, hopefully they're not breathing if you're embalming them.
Yeah, they're not coughing
good
up.
point.
But yeah, Mike, what you're seeing, like, I mean, even though you guys are pretty close to us, we only hear about what's going on in the city, not so much on the outskirts.
Yeah, I mean, for us on the island, it was saying that we were a little behind the delay. A lot of the stuff that was hitting the city first, then kind of gravitated out to Long Island. So, but with everything they're saying now is we're kind of been flattening as well. So,
Yeah,
just waiting to see how much longer gonna be quarantined with the kids and everything. Like,
I don't know how you guys do it.
I'm hoping schools will give me at least a month of school. I can't.
No joke.
I can't. I'm waiting for like every day. I'm like, oh yeah, because I guess the guy, the mayor of the city, New York City, was like, oh, schools will be out for the rest of the year. And I was like, oh crap, you got to be kidding me. And then the governor's like, no, that's not true. I made the call. So I was like, all right, there we go, Governor Trump's mayor. It was still a hope. So we'll see.
How many kids do you have?
I got three daughters.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
Jen, what about you?
You said the
I've
quiet-
got 3.
All at home, homeschooling?
Yeah, they're a little older, so they're a senior, sophomore, and 7th grader.
Okay.
So it's working out pretty well, and I'm still working. So they're home, kind of doing their thing, and luckily they're all pretty good at Zoom. And the school that they're at, they have live classes on Zoom, so it's keeping them pretty engaged.
Nice.
It's not bad.
It's my 2 dogs are the one that are driving me nuts at home, to be honest.
No kids, just dogs.
I have 4 kids, but only 1 at home.
Okay.
Well, 2, but she's 5th grade, so she's doing Zoom classes and stuff like that. But I'm not used to being around my dogs all day, and it's like they want in, they want out, they want in, and it's driving me nuts. I know it sounds funny and stupid.
No. Yeah.
Out of everything, that's the thing that's driving me bananas at home, being around the dogs.
Now, are you guys all gym owners yourselves? Or some
Except
of you?
the
or
embalmer.
none of you? What's that?
Everybody except the embalmer. You know what, too, Clint? I guarantee you, if you had an outside poll of people to look at our pictures and pick out the embalmer, he would be the guy for sure. No fucking doubt.
I used to own a gym. I owned it for 5 years. I was a co-owner, and about a year ago, so perfect timing, I guess, for me, I stepped away from an ownership role. So it's kind of been a blessing in disguise. I miss it, but at the same time, I'm being involved with it and coaching a lot of different kids programs. But it's a
That's
bummer.
good.
Yeah, I haven't seen my barbell club kids. I mean, we're doing the Zoom thing and try to keep them as active as possible. But trying to motivate kids right now when they're stuck on their computers all day is pretty hard. But we're getting through.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, let's do this again. I kind of like having the female voice, Jen. It's definitely
Well, thanks
nice.
for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, if you know anybody interested in, wanting to do this, I'd love to get Neil on next, especially after Castro. We kind of got some fresh ideas or fresh things that kind of ask him about.
I can, I'll shoot him a text. The biggest thing with him is I know he's running all his classes, so we'll see how busy he is. But I'll shoot him a text, see what he says.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if it's not this week, if it's another, we would definitely.
He will for sure at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. Well, it's still recording. I'll stop all this and get it up onto YouTube and make you guys famous.
All right.
I'm already famous, Justin. I'm
What's
already
that?
famous.
Thanks for joining us, Jen. Appreciate it.
All right,
Jeff,
guys.
thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
All right, boys. See ya.
All right,
Later,
bye.
pals.
Be safe. Figure that out. There you go.